This nibble originally aired on RSBANDB Update, episode 892, Raids, Death, and Taxes. Enjoy.
Let's move on to talk about some rewards for a bit, right? The big raid rewards, on release, were a new set of ability codexes and tier 90 tank armor. Specifically, two versions of tier 90 tank armor. One buyable with currency that is a consistent drop from the raids. Again, great drop design, personal opinion. And one that is dropped actually from the bosses. Let's spend a minute on drop mechanics for this, because I think that these are very well done. Between the tank armor and the codex, getting a drop from a raid, assuming you have max reputation, so you have a reroll available, is like a 1 in 5 to 1 in 7. It is really common to get raid drops. Which is nice because you can only get loot once every 2 days. So, that does in some ways balance itself out. But it's relatively consistent rewards. If you don't roll a unique, you will always roll the techie currency, which can be used in the reward shop to buy the ability codexes in a tradable form. Which the drops are also tradable. You can buy them for non-tradable, so you can always sell the drops that you get. Or you can buy base versions of the tier 90 tank armor. And we'll start with the tier 90 tank armor because it was obviously the first tier 90 tank armor.
And prior to Crosis, the only tier 90 tank armor that was there for Magic, right?
It is, and the only tier 90 tank armor available for range too. Actually, also Magic? Because Elder Rune. Elder Rune technically was tier 85?
Yeah, 85.
Okay, so yeah, only tier 90 for any style before other than Deathspore. Wow, Deathspore. Yes, Crosis. The Crosis armor. Why am I... Mm-hmm. I've blocked it from my brain. Cryptloom.
There you go.
Yeah, get out. Don't want. Bad. I have so many issues with Cryptloom that we can talk about later. Just, you're wearing tank armor. I don't care that you're still doing as much damage as somebody else because staff go Bert. You're still wearing tank armor. You can do better. Why are you sandbagging my team? Get out. Anyways, now that we have my lovely opinion on tank armor, let's talk about tank armor that these drop. The tank armors from raids come with a unique passive, and the buyable version and non-buyable version have two differences. So the buyable version, they have the same armor value, should be noted. The buyable version has, I believe, tier 85 health scaling on it. So the buyable version only gives you the equivalent, it's I think 450 less health than the Achto dropped version. And the Achto additionally has a secondary passive that gives you damage equivalent to an offhand. It gives you when you're wearing a shield. So it gives you 10% of your shield's tier. So if you have a tier 90 shield, each piece of Achto armor you wear gives you 10% of that shield's value as level. So wearing one piece of Achto gives you the equivalent of a tier 9 offhand. Wearing 5 pieces of Achto gives you the equivalent of a tier 45 offhand. It should be noted that, if you're wearing a defender, you could get the equivalent of, a tier 75 offhand. Which is you lose relatively little damage by wearing, as opposed to 2 tier 90 main hand offhand by having 5-piece Achto with a tier 90 main hand and a defender. With that said, you're still wearing tank armor. So you still lose all of the DPS from your armor stats. You lose the passives off of Cinderbanes, off of Dino Boots, off of ability altering gloves. Even off of other tank gloves like the Dominion Tower gloves. You're losing a lot of passive abilities by wearing this particular set of tank armor. So the damage doesn't compensate, but it's a nice buff for places like Telos or other places where you need to wear tank armor. Having the Achto, the full tier 90 health bonus off of Achto, plus this extra little damage is nice. It's also worth noting that both versions of the raid armor have a unique passive. That passive is that every piece of the armor that you wear gives an increasing chance that every time you take a damage hit splat, all of your defensive abilities get reset. There's a 1 second or a 1 minute cooldown on when this activates. Basically, if you have any defensives on cooldown, once a minute you get those defensives back. This is a large part of the reason why the turtling perk is so strong for tanking, because when wearing these armors with the turtling perk, the Turtling perk, which extends both the duration and the cooldown of the Barricade ability, you don't have to worry about that extended duration of the cooldown, because the cooldown will be most likely reset before it's back up again. So it requires a more dynamic tank rotation because your tanking abilities are up much more often.
Yeah.
And that's still the primary driver for wearing these armors, is that those defensive resets are so valuable. Even getting an extra resonance reset if you're in a tough spot for healing, getting an extra devotion, right? Having your devotion on less than a minute cooldown. Like if you're killing stuff, you could have crazy devotion up times.
Massive.
Yeah, it's huge. Especially if you can get the things synced up right so that your reset is coming in when you've just started the cooldown for it, right? So it's not incredibly consistent. I think the maximum is 5 to 7% or whatever, right? It's on the tooltip in game. Thank you for the mods for putting the tooltip since we see the percent to get the reset. But that's the true value of this armor.
And my question is, where would you use this?
So the deal with this is that these armors are useful anywhere that you need to wear. Well, anywhere you need to wear tank armor.
Well, obviously.
But you're wearing tank armor for learning base tanking for a lot of places. Almost every situation you're better off wearing power armor because the damage, 15 to 20% damage roll from power armor is just massive. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
And is valuable.
You can
and the
feel
passives
it
you get
if you
from
haven't
gear.
worn power armor before.
Right. Also worth noting that the buyable versions of the armor are not augmentable. So the buyable version's really not great if you want to wear them. If you wanted to wear your ability altering gloves or cinderbanes and your dino boots with armor, and you still want to have a 3-piece armor bonus from Cliproom or things, or from this, you need to wear helm, body, legs. And so having augmentable is actually fairly important.
And that only comes from raids.
From the Achto Raids armor, yeah.
The Achto Raids armor.
So, if you were in a situation where you wanted to do some nice AFK, farming with, Animate Dead, you're much better off with Achto, because then you're in your tank armor, you could wear your Achto with a defender or something and just have truly massive damage mitigation, right? You get much less punished for wearing a defender if you have Achto on, versus if you don't. Those kind of things are where you would still use this.
All right.
It's niche, and if you can get away with power armor is still almost always better. But if you're going to be wearing tank armor, it's a good choice. Also, I think they just look really cool.
Yeah,
There's
they
not
do.
a whole lot of armors in the game that look like these, and the Achto versions in particular, the Achto melee chest plate,
they just
the
got
range helmet.
a nice kind of trimming to them.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the range, the shoulders glow nice. Again, I like the effects on them. I think they're pretty armors.
You can find full episodes of RSBANDB Update right here on this YouTube channel. If you found this video useful or just enjoyed it, like and subscribe, or leave a comment.